virtues are not, or it takes. This is like the virtue of patience is like a really good example of this. Um, Patience and other virtues are not an indefinite sentence um, to anything. The virtues exist. Their purpose is to guide you towards living a flourishing life, right? Um, you shouldn't kind of stop yourself from enjoying the small moments of life
I agree.
in the name of virtue, because the means of virtue is to do those things. So, of course, the virtue's general guideline is that you should long range plan.
It
Um,
it's not about the virtue itself, it's more about, like, my question was about, like, the flourishing life part, like, are you
yeah,
again,
flourishing life. No,
flourishing life
you
could
need
be
the small things.
broad.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need the
well
small things to flourish in life.
well, that's also not what I'm meaning, like, you will be flourishing, right, like, let's just say, like, you hit a certain point and you're flourishing, right, but you're not in eudaimonia yet, right? Because, like, eudaimonia is when, like, it's almost like a let's just say, like, a Buddhist thought, like, when you don't when all your desires are satisfied, when all your virtues are satisfied, you know what I mean? Like it's an end goal. It's the ultimate end. That's what I'm talking about. That was my question.
Oh,
And virtues are like character building to kind of more actualize that. At least under Aristotle's view, which I also think is true under Rand's. But I think maybe
the
you
way
don't
that
care about an ultimate end, and maybe you just care about like a baseline flourishing, which is
the way
possible.
that there's a fuck. What is the guy's name? His name is Don Watkins. He's an objectivist philosopher. He wrote a book. It's called oh fuck. What's the book called? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? He just wrote a book literally like 2 months ago. Um, Hold on. It's called. It's like egoism. It's called effective egoism. Um, and in this book, he essentially describes that happiness is a state of perpetual improvement. It's not like an end goal that you can be like, all right, I'm here. Happiness is the kind of state of, you know, continually achieving and setting higher goals and being productive and pushing yourself.
Yeah,
There's
but
never like a
then
there's never like a top of the mountain. So I don't accept that
but
there's
then
like a
you've never
eudaimonia.
fully flourished then, right? Like you're flourishing, but you haven't reached like I was saying, like so
Well,
you don't believe in an ultimate end.
we think that human beings have unlimited potential, so we don't really believe in a
I
kind of.
agree. Yeah, yeah, but I mean, but I'm saying like there is no ultimate end for objectivism then, right?
Well,
Like,
the end is the performance of virtue. That's the end.
but
The end is achieving.
you're constantly updating that is my point.
Yeah, exactly.
So you never reach that.
Well, no, like okay, like you gotta think about it like this. The goal is not a state of mind per se. The goal is a continuation of a behavior.
Yeah, so
So
again, so that's not an end, right? Like that's okay, it might be like a
that isn't it. That isn't it.
no, it's not a final end is what I'm
Yeah,
getting at. Like
it is the final end.
no, because it never ends. It's not a final end, Liam. I don't know like
It's an ultimate. It's an end in and of itself that you flourish to continue flourishing. That's the point.
but it's never reached.
It's reached when you continue to flourish.
But you have to continue flourishing,
There's not
right?
like yeah, you have to continue to be adherent
Like
to
I'm
virtue.
saying, like you build virtue so you can build character so you can keep flourishing. I agree, right? Like to me, that's a baseline for like the fact that like you'll never reach it, right? Like because there, like you said, there is no tip top, and that's what I'm getting at. There is no tip top to your mountain because your desires and your virtues they're never ending as long as you're alive, right?
Yeah, there's no limit to your potential, but that's the thing is that
Like you're never fully actualized. How about that? Like you know what I mean? Like you're
sure.
that's to me that's what they mean by ultimate end, right? Like it's an end of in itself where you're actualized because you're always actualizing potential, but your potential is never filled in this world.
Yeah, but this is what you have to understand is that like when we talk about your potential and the final end, the final end of your life is flourishing, and flourishing is like a state. in which you continue to improve and continue to
But it's
flourish.
not a
Flourishing is
state because it constantly changes. Like it's if any
a
like
me. Yeah, I
sure,
know.
maybe
Yeah,
it's a well
that's
then
what
you
I'm saying.
can't like I don't
It's a me. Well, that's the thing is that
it's a
flourishing.
means to an ends of an end,
Yeah,
right?
it's an end in and of itself.
Because well
That's what an end in and
no
of
because
itself is.
it's
It's the
never
means by which
actualized.
the end is the means by which you actualize the end. It's the same.
But
That's
you
what it
never actualize it.
is. You are by using the
No, because
means.
it constantly changes.
The means is the means is the end.
So you've always hit it, right?
If
Because you're
you're
always flourishing
flourishing,
in some
yeah.
sense, right?
Well, I don't know. You obviously choose not to be virtuous, but yeah, if you're
No,
being
no, no. But I mean, like,
consistently,
so what does that mean? Like, you always do the virtuous thing, or like,
well, typically when we say somebody is flourishing, we normally try to temporally lock that into like, oh, their recent behavior in contrast to what they've done
yeah,
in the
that's what I'm saying.
past.
Like, that's why it seems like a baseline thing. Like, um, you're flourishing right now. You know what I mean? Like,
People,
but
I
like,
mean, it makes sense to say that you've flourished more given that you've achieved more, but the essential nature of flourishing is the same across. It's just that you're performing the types of behaviors that build, um, a rational life or a flourishing life, a good life. Sorry, flourishing is continuing to do the behaviors that build the good life, and the good life is doing the behaviors that
build a
do
good
the good
life,
build a good life. Yeah,
which is never
and
reached,
well,
right? Like, the good life is never reached
well,
because
the good
if
life
the
is
good life
reached,
is
but the
the flourishing,
potential. But you got to understand that the good life is reached when you flourish. It's just the potential for all you can do isn't
like,
reached. But
you
that's not
never.
the.
The point is like there's no like semantic difference because well maybe it's semantic. I don't know.
I think
Like
it is.
what
I think it's probably semantic because
it probably is like
happiness, like typically we describe happiness as like the kind of emotional state that accompanies flourishing, and I think people can hit that, and that's what we kind of understand as eudaimonia, as like this kind of emotional generalization about being being causally or causally affectatious and achieving what you want, something like that.
but
We
like
agree that that's reached.
it's reached temporally like locked, right?
Um, yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm saying like there is no like there's no like I've actualized the practical example of that was like the saving thing. Like you've always could have saved more. Like
Right,
you
right.
you know what I mean? Like you're virtuous to like a relative thing, right?
Yeah, it's age and relative, but I mean, I do think that I think perfection is possible. Like, is realistic as well.
No, no. Well, say that again. You think
I
perfection
think
is what?
perfection is possible. I think it's worldly.
What does that mean?
I think that somebody
Is
can be perfect.
perfection? Yeah, is perfection like always like is it like no potentiality?
Perfection means doing what's virtuous to the best of your ability.
Always.
Yeah, consistently.
Or like no, not consistent. Always, right? Like it's a because then you're like imperfect at
Well, of
like certain
course.
times.
I mean, of course, you can make generalizations about I wasn't perfect here, but like the last 3 months, I've been like life has been perfect. You can make
Well, yeah,
statements like
that's what I'm
that.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like it's you know, like either the view is that at least in my opinion the view for you is you're always flourishing so you're always attempting to be perfect which is what I think is the common sense reading of like any virtue ethics
Uh huh. Uh huh.
right or that you've hit perfect sometimes and that you're trying to always repeat this behavior but you'll never perfectly get it.
No, I don't believe that you'll never be perfect. I think you can be
No,
perfect given
that's what I'm saying. Like you can be perfect, like perfect, just meaning like because you would say
to
like
the
it's
best of your
temporarily
ability.
locked at a certain time.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe what you're talking about is the kind of generalizations of saying this person is
I don't
perfect.
think it's a generalization. I'm saying like it's a real thing of like since your potentiality has never
Yeah,
stopped.
yeah. Well,
You know what I mean? Like
whenever we say someone is perfect, I think what we're trying to say here is that they have like a virtuous disposition of character. Um,
I
or
don't know what perfect would mean outside of the view that I'm giving. That's like you're fully
religious one,
actualized.
or what?
I know perfect people exist because I exist.
Real. But
Don't say real to that. Are you serious, man?
come on, that's a troll.
He
I mean,
ate.
no, he
It
did
is
not
natural.
eat. You're muted now. You're banned. I got an upper mod. You better fucking watch out. All right.
Anyway, but
Um,
no, I think that obviously I do understand perfect in terms of actualizing, but it's of course it's temporally locked.
no,
So
because
it can't be not temporally locked.
yeah, because then you're either actualized or you're not, right? Like or you could actualize potentials, but like you always have potentials.
Well, because like this, if you actualize things to the best of your ability and then you just stop, like just you're no longer perfect because it's tensed. You're no
That's
longer
what I'm
perfect
saying. That's what I'm saying. So you would say somebody's perfect if they've actualized anything, right?
if they've actualized
And
yeah
let's
to
say
the
in a
best of their
rational way.
ability.
Let's assume, yeah. Let's assume like your best of your ability, rational, virtue, etc. Right? Like
Uh-huh.
they would be perfect in that instance.
Yeah.
How long is that instance?
Um. I don't. I mean, however long the instance is specified in the example, I guess.
Okay, what if you saved enough and you bought a car, but you could have saved 1 second longer and actualized a better possibility and all these things.
I think that
You the
I think
potential to
that
keep going.
value.
You know what I mean? Like I understand that like it's a relative thing, but
Mhm.
it's to me your view is more of a generalization because you have to like make it broad.
Yeah, the view is generalized because the specific form in which perfection or eudaimonia or flourishing, actually is existing in a person is different based on the person.
Yeah, because I don't take any like okay, I'm not gonna say Rand's view. I don't take any virtue ethicist to say that like perfection is any amount of actualization. Maybe virtue is the actualization of let's say like
Well, I think that you can perform. Well, here's the thing: is that of course you
you
can
can
perform
perform
all things perfectly.
perfectly,
Of
but
course, you
you're
can
not
perform
perfect.
small things perfectly. Of course, you can do small things perfectly. Like, of course, whenever I identify somebody as perfect, it's the same kind of judgment I make when I say someone is evil. It's a generalization of their character, their natural dispositions towards things, their repeated behavior and habit. That's the kind of thing that I say when I say a person is perfect.
I agree, but I'm saying like that's the generalization is it kind of gets lost in the thought when you think of that like the potentiality just never like reaches.
But not every potential has to be actualized to be perfect. Only the potentials that
I disagree. Yeah, no, I disagree. I think like again, the general statement like kind of like, you murder someone so you're a murderer, right? Like you or like you're perfect because you've perfected something at a certain instance. You did
uh-huh,
something perfect.
uh-huh.
Does that mean you were only perfect then?
Well, if that's the only isolated example, then of course. But
Well, I'm
when
saying,
you're talking about
yeah.
someone,
Let's just say it's a one-time thing. Yeah, like are how again? They're not perfect for a certain time, but it also is. You know what I mean? Like it's
well, that's the thing is you have to look at whether or not the kind of behavior is out of character.
now I don't know what that means.
So, like for example, well, you're familiar with the idea of like dispositions of character, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So a liar lying, if they're a bad person, the liar doing that, that's just an example of their disposition, their tendency of character. So bad people do bad things generally, but a liar could like lock in and do something nice, and it would be true that they were doing something good there, and it would be true that that action was virtuous, but that action isn't like actual. It's not actually their disposition of character. You can act in ways that are contrary to your disposition of character because you have free will. Um, it's the same
Which
reason you can
we
change
would
your
say that
disposition.
happens all the time, though, right? Like,
No, yeah, I don't know if it happens all the time, but yeah, it can happen. I'm sure it happens a lot. I
I
think
would say it happens all the time, but the fact that like you could have saved more or something like that, like you would have to say this disposition is also relative. There
Well, the dispositions. So some dispositions. Yeah, but when you're saying dispositions of character are generalizations about the way you approach the world. They're not.
Which are also relative, right? Like, I mean, like,
Well, they're not. I don't know. In relative to like my ability, because
to the
the
time. I mean,
motivation.
like,
Well, yeah, of
I
course.
mean, like,
Of course, I could have a disposition at T1 and not have
sure,
a
could be
disposition
a
at T2.
liar, but I could also be perfect at one instance, right? Like, so
Yeah,
you
no,
would
you
say I
could
was
be.
perfect. Yeah.
You could be sure,
But
but
that's general, just kind of like if I lied, like if I'm a continuous liar, right? Like I was a liar at a certain point, but like how long was I a liar? Is it every action? Like there's no like
yeah, but I mean
counting.
that's just the
There's
kind
no
of thing
counting
about.
mechanism for it. Like it's all general. It's all relative. It's all like it's
Yeah,
all
but
relation to something.
when you say I, this person is a liar, like their character is lying or their character is deceptive. Um, that statement is true if they have the disposition of character, and there. I'm sure you can investigate, what's required of a person to, habitually do something to the point where that becomes a
Yeah.
disposition of character. But yeah,
My
the actual beliefs about those you have, of course, those are all generalized.
yeah, my point isn't that these aren't unimportant or colloquially used because I would agree that like sometimes we say, "Oh, you look perfect today," meaning that you did good, you were virtuous about certain things, right? Or something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, but like but they they could have done better in a longer time or any like they will always have potentials to actualize is what I'm getting at. I
I
know
guess
I'll keep
okay. I don't
saying
want to
that,
be like a
but
nerd. I don't want to be a nerd about this, but like I don't actually see the P and not P about like why that's actually impossible. I don't, and so obviously the religious
well,
answer is that human beings are like impotent, independent of God or something. And that's why they can't do everything.
I,
Like
well,
they don't have the power
yeah,
to
because you're
achieve
temporally
perfection.
locked. Yeah,
Well, it's not about temporal locking. I don't see how that makes it impossible.
because you couldn't actualize everything at once. Yeah,
But
that's the reason.
well, of course, I can't actualize a contradiction. But
Well,
the
that's not what I'm
standard
meaning.
for
Obviously, I'm meaning it's only a contradiction because you're temporally locked. But I'm saying
well,
like
I'm confused in what way. Like somebody could choose to see. Let's say somebody saved as many
you could have
people as.
saved more. You could have saved more. You could have saved more. You could have saved more. Like you know what I mean? Like
Well, why would
you're
we
in a
say
constant
we're
in
saying we could have? I don't know why you can't save as many as you can.
well yeah, that's true. But then you're also like not doing something else. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but
you
could have
act
been
on
doing
one
better work.
thing. Like it's because you're temporal, right? Like your desires are
Yeah, but
infinite,
that doesn't make
right?
it.
Your desires are infinite, right? And they'll never be fully satisfied, is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't accept that. But even if I did, the bigger point is that yeah, obviously when you save as many people as you can, you're not doing other things. But
I was meaning
you
saving
know,
money, but yeah, I
oh, sorry, but yeah. But in regard to that, like, so I'm saying is that if you're following the correct goals completely consistently, then you would be perfect.
no. Again, you would be actualizing that goal, but your potential could have been a bigger goal or a sooner goal or
That's the
something
thing is
like
that
that.
you have to be able to weigh what goal is proper to flourishing.
No. I understand. I understand the temporal thing, right? But the fact that you're temporally locked means that you're not pure act. You are a
Right.
potential. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I don't think that I don't think that perfect means pure act.
I think in the non-colloquial, I think that's what I've been asking about.
Oh,
We can
okay, no,
call
I
it
don't.
whatever
That's
you want. No, we can call it whatever you want. I think that would be a semantic thing. Like
yeah.
you saying somebody's perfect because they did the right thing, but they could have done, the right thing always, but they don't. And they never will. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know if I
um
never. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that everybody.
you will never do the right thing always. I mean like I don't
Yeah, I would say that.
because your desires are infinite, right?
Well, look, here's this. I think that like I of course believe that some people are not going to be doing what's best for them 100% infallibly. Um, and I don't believe in maybe we're talking about the perfect character per se. Um,
Sure. The perfect character at a relative time would do everything with all this knowledge, but they don't have all this knowledge and they don't have all this potentiality that they've actualized. And
right.
we can shift it down to one point, but you would just say, well, they did the right thing and that's perfection because they perfected the goal, which was the right thing.
They performed this action perfectly, but when we're talking about like again,
Perfectly just meaning here that they did the right thing, which was aimed at that goal.
here's the thing: when I think about someone being perfect, the main the main thing I'm talking about here is whether or not they possess all virtuous dispositions of character. That's what I'm concerned with when I say someone's perfect.
Which they would need all knowledge to do, right?
I don't think they need. I don't think they need to be omniscient to have perfect dispositions of character.
At all times?
I don't think. I think you could have been like a serial rapist and become perfect.
But that would be like limited to a time. That's what I'm saying. Like that was
Well,
the
yeah,
question.
you can only exist in time. So yeah,
No, but anyway.
yeah,
Um
yeah. You can
the
only
point
exist intensely.
no, but anyway. Um the point there was that like you will always have potentials to actualize. That's all I'm saying. Whether you want to call this perfection or not, whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I,
I,
thi-
yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
you're right. I think you're right that maybe this is what people colloquially mean, and I think that's true. Like again, like I said, like oh, you look perfect today means you did the right thing according to the goal, and
Right,
that doesn't say anything about your certain character, etc.
Uh huh.
Or your broad character, right? Like you could be you could be a murderer, but then like you helped kids or something.
Right.
Um,
Bless you.
but you would just say that you were perfect at that time, right?
Or you did the perfectly right thing. Yeah. Not that
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah,
So
that's
it's
what I'm saying.
bound to action temporally, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what. Yeah, that's the
But
thing. Is
you would generalize and say, oh, like you could 10 minutes later be like, oh, that he's perfect.
no. Well, I don't think you can make that kind of generalization, and that's because you know, 10 minutes of habit doesn't change your disposition, and that's not like analytically true. That's just like inductively, like that's not true. I mean, I actually take like a really I have like a really I don't want to say that. Like I have a really optimistic view about the capacity for people to change their dispositions of character, but like empirically, I don't see people do it quite like that often.
Well, I don't think that matters. Like I don't. My
What I'm
point
saying is
is,
that 10 minutes, someone's not gonna have different.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You'd be fine with calling them perfect for those 10 minutes, right?
No,
Generally,
I would. Well, no, not them, because their dispositions haven't changed.
their dispositions to the other goal or the next goal or something.
Well, yeah. So dispositions aren't just like what you consciously choose to do. Dispositions are kind of the natural, automatic um, behavior that you lean towards. They're features of your subconscious.
Yeah.
Like
So a person's
if your
perfect
automatic
when they.
reaction is to like lie, that's because your disposition is to be deceptive.
Yeah. So their character is perfect when they have the perfect disposition,
Yeah, when they have all virtuous dispositions of character.
which just means doing the right thing at a certain time.
Dispositions of character mean that your natural um, tendency is to virtue. That here's like kind of a way you can see someone's disposition of character. If someone is like lying is such an easy example. Like pathological liars, they'll lie for no fucking reason. They won't think about it. There won't be an agenda. They just lie.
But if they do the virtuous thing, like let's say outside of lying,
It's
right?
because
Like
they're
saving.
they're choosing to do something out of character. You can go against your dispositions by choice.
Again, I think this character thing is even more generalizations. I'm not sure that matters. Maybe it matters to the fact that like you won't call them perfect because they still have the wrong disposition on something, right?
Mhm.
But you would always have the wrong disposition on something because you always have potentials.
I don't think that you could always. I don't think it's true that you always have the wrong
Because
disposition.
you're not always like actualizing something or actualizing potentials and never like you're never
But
ending.
not every potential needs to be actualized or should be actualized.
Because of temporal reasons.
Yeah, but also because it's not required by the virtuous life that you actualize every potential.
Because of temporal reasons, right?
Yeah,
The
because you live in
virtuous life, the virtuous life. The answer to that is because it's temporal, right? Like the fact that like
you live in
I
time.
can't. Yeah, exactly. Like I can't go to the grocery store and also talk to you and buy stocks
Yeah,
and
it
do all
demands
this.
that my actions are scarce. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like these, you couldn't say that this person. I think it's. I don't think it's a wrong thing to say to add like when you say somebody's a liar, you're referring to their disposition of character.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, sure. But then you would say someone's perfect with a disposition of character to be perfect?
You said sorry. What was the last statement?
When someone's perfect, it's because they have a disposition to be perfect,
It's because they have a disposition to be virtuous. Yeah.
which is perfection.
Uh, yeah, but I mean, yeah,
Well, then but
it
you're using
happens.
two different terms of perfect sometimes. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
happens to turn out like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
Anyway,
the thing is that like
I think
um
colloquially you're getting at something like I said, like when I say like Eric, you're perfect. Um, I mean you did the right thing at a right time.
and
Like
that's the thing too is
you had the
this
right
kind of idea
disposition.
well
But I'm not.
this kind of idea of dispositions. The reason it's relevant is because I used to not like believe in the disposition stuff because I kind of thought it was mystical, but then I started thinking about it more, and I was like, we use this a lot in colloquial language. An example is an apology, right? So when people apologize, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, that was out of character," like, forgive me. They're trying to say that this action that they performed is not like the rule of their character or the way they normally govern themselves, which I think is true.
You
Because
can change your disposition.
yeah, through habit, I think that the dispositions are a conclusion of habit.
But they never end because you're always building on those habits.
Well, the disposition itself and its intensity. Actually, I got this concept from Aquinas. It's kind of like this. It's like if you're disposed to being a liar, it's harder for your free will to. It's harder for you to choose with your free will to not lie.
I agree. Yeah.
This is that it takes more mental effort.
Yeah,
But
again, that's back to habits. Yeah.
that's the thing is that the habit creates this kind of causal tendency in your character.
I agree, but again, what I'm saying is like your disposition, like let's say you did the right thing, right? That's the disposition temporally as well.
Well, I don't dispositions. Sorry, what do you mean? Is a disposition temporally?
Like like when you're perfect in this instance, right? Your whole disposition of character could change. Right? So you're or
Uh,
I would say will,
I
right?
mean,
Like because
at some
you're
point,
always building on habits
well,
to
I don't
change
say
your
that. I wouldn't
disposition of
necessarily say
character.
that. I wouldn't say that. After one usage of being after one, truth telling incident,
Yeah,
your
you're a truth teller.
disposition change. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's not what I'm getting at here. I'm saying like your disposition of character, right? It changes through times because your dispositions have to change, or something
Maybe
like
their intensities change or something.
yeah, something like that. Like the fact that like you're always building habits. Like you
Uh,
don't perfect being a good person, right? Because well, what I'm getting at is you don't perfect being a good person because you always have to do habits to become a good person, right? Regardless of your disposition, right? Because you could say it's out of character, and you could say, well, their disposition was perfect on a certain instance.
well, here's the thing: is that, and this is where Ayn Rand is different than Aristotle, which is probably the disagreement. Is that Ayn Rand is concerned with your action, and the continuation of types of action, and Aristotle is more concerned with this final goal. being like a state.
Okay, yeah. Like that's what I'm getting at. Like your action could be this changed disposition, right? And that could have been a flourishing thing. We'll just call all virtuous things flourishing, right?
Yeah.
That could be a flourishing thing, right? But you will always have to build habits to flourish more. Right?
Yeah,
Like
not to continue to
you always like you're never done like building a habit to like truth telling and like all these things, right?
yeah,
You
exactly.
may have a disposition to.
To continue to do them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's review. And the thing is that Ayn Rand specifically tries to drop the usage of disposition and whatnot, which she talks about virtue. She Ayn Rand strictly refers to virtue as like the means to achieving value, which is fine, but in the Greek sense, the word virtue literally just means like a disposition of character.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it makes sense. I mean, in colloquial English, when I say this person possesses the virtue of honesty, that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying this person is an honest person. They normally do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that maybe if I was getting nasty with my objectivist colleagues here, I could reduce the word disposition to be like a generalization of habit, and that's literally what it means. But maybe like in my available evidence, under normal circumstances, they tell the truth or something. But
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think the biggest thing is like the fact that eudaimonia is a never-ending step. But for you, like eudaimonia under like a Greek like idea doesn't matter. It's more about like the fact that you were flourishing and that you're trying to build a habit to keep flourishing.
right, yeah, it's about building. It's continual. It's never like it's like a job.
That's not an ultimate end because it's a continuous end.
Well, it's an ultimate end in the sense
Meaning
that
final. Like it's ultimate because that's what all things
it's
are
never
aimed at.
satisfied.
But yeah, exactly. It's never finalized. Okay.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
It's finalized in the sense that you're continuing to achieve it, but it's not finalized in the sense that you can ever
you're
achieve it.
continuous achieving it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ultimate end. It gets weird when you talk about satisfaction here.
I don't know.
Fire. Wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah. The yap sesh.
Oh, holy fuck. I forgot my shoes. I'm about to enter this gas station with no socks, no shoes.
It's disgusting, dude.
What the fuck
Again,
is wrong with you?
Dude is not a perfect person. Do you see this shit?
Wait, do I got shoes back?
Bro, what? Liam, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's
See,
not-
this is what I'm saying. This is
Get
what
it
I'm saying.
together.
I'm an objectivist. I do the virtuous thing. He's a liar.
All right. Come on. Wait, do I got shoes back here? Hold up. Oh, damn. What were you saying? LA Landon? Oh, I got shoes back here, JK. I don't got socks. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, have some decorum.
Yo, I don't give a fuck, bro. Come on.
Oh, you don't care.
Okay,
about the
and that's why
establishment
you gonna
rules
end
and
up with
stuff?
all. So when both of your feet get amputated, I don't want to hear shit about it.
Amputated from what?
I don't know, gangrene or something.
Bro, come on. I live in the greatest country in the greatest history in the greatest nation in the greatest world in
Okay,
the
I need
greatest.
you to be serious. No.
Well, Trump's not president, so it's not true, right? Like,
You're right. I live in the greatest nation in the history of the world at the greatest time in human history.
well, that's not true because Trump's not president. So.
Oh my god. Look,
Yeah,
here's the
but like it's not the greatest nation if the election was stolen, right? So
it's still the greatest nation, even if it's not the greatest possible nation.
it's a general statement about its disposition. You fucking liar. That's
Yep.
what it is, dude. The nation's disposition.
Unironically, I reposted something similar on the 4th of July. It was like I celebrate the general moral climate
General
of United
disposition. Yeah, America has American exceptionalism, which is what it is.
Yeah, the general disposition of the American moral climate is superior to the European altruistic collectivist filth.
Yeah, sure, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fries in the bag. Well, hold on, let me grab this drink real quick.
Fries in the bag.
I'm about to go in here, grab some fries. Actually, no, I'm about to get. Oh, I put this. Okay, I'll for good.
Gas station fries with no